Okay, so we're now recording.
Okay, cool.
We're here with the final match of this Johannesburg WMCQ. We've been following Leon Schlechter since round 2, and here he is, one match away from a ticket to France. He's up against Theuns Prinsloo. Now, Leon's still playing the burn deck, of course, that we've seen so much of today. Theuns is playing Rebel Red.
Two decks that are supposed to act very fast. I have a feeling, though, that the deliberate play is going to slow down this match a lot, and that the pace is going to dictate the winner.
Yeah, this is a difficult match to pick. Theuns has the benefit of being on the play in the first game, and that could be important here.
After looking at Theuns' deck list, though, I noticed that he's got Satire Fire Drinker main deck, which is really going to hurt against burn spells.
Yeah, Satyr Fire Drinker deals damage to Theuns equal to any damage that is dealt to it. So when Leon points burn spells at it, he gets bonus damage to the dome. That could really count against Theuns in a matchup like this. However, the two decks operate on slightly different axes, and Theuns' recurring sources of damage in the form of creatures could give him an edge.
Theuns is playing Rabble Master. He's also playing Burning Tree Emissary, which gives him 2 mana to cast another spell off of it. Capable of some very powerful draws in this deck.
Yeah, Theuns is capable of explosive starts, whereas Leon's deck is a bit more measured in its approach. It needs to resolve spells that cost 4 mana before it can really get going. He needs his War Leader's Helixes, he needs his Stoke the Flames. He is actually a little bit slower.
Do you think Leon is going to be adopting the control approach in this deck?
I think that he has to take a control role here. Theuns is generally going to get on the board with a 1-drop, and if that just gets in for 2 damage each turn,
Well, we see him
Theuns
with
is getting more damage off of each one of his spells than Leon is, so he has to control the board.
Theuns with 2 drops. He is holding a Burning Tree Emissary, which he cannot actually use the floating mana from to cast the Ash Zealot, which costs double red. Burning Tree Emissary adding 1 red and 1 green.
He's also only got 1 land in this hand, so I think he's going to need to send that back. Leon has jumped the gun a bit in announcing his mulligan first. He's already shuffling up.
Theuns looks like he might be considering keeping this.
You can sometimes get by with 1 land in this kind of deck, but he's looking at several 2-drops, a 3-drop, and actually a 4-mana spell in his hand.
This would be
1 land is not it, and he's on the play. He doesn't get to draw a card before his first turn. So I think he needs to send this back. He's not going to get. He's very unlikely to get the mana he needs to actually make this hand work.
Yep, there we go. We see them all.
Yeah, so they're both going down to 6 cards.
Something I like very much is that he mulled his hand without looking at the top card. Sometimes you mull and you look at the top card and you kick yourself for it.
Yeah, in poker this is called chasing the rabbit, when you look at the next card after you've made your decision. It's just a bad idea. That's a sort of outcomes-based thinking, where you look what would have happened and you think about your decision based on that. But that's never right to do. Your decision should be based on the information you have at the time. It should be based on the best decision you can make based on the odds you can calculate right then. What happens next, that's out of your control.
Clearly, both players like their shuffling. Again, they're both taking a mull, but being on the play versus being on the draw is very different.
Yeah, being on the play means that the mulligan actually hurts Theuns a little bit more. 7 cards as opposed to 8 is a bit less of a disadvantage compared to 6 cards as opposed to 7.
And I still believe in the age-old adage that a red deck needs 7 cards to function.
That's not really true. This Rebel Red deck can actually get by with very few cards. Rebel Master by itself can close out the game very rapidly.
When you're facing down getting one of the few threats, you start getting burnt out. I think having more cards in hand is a better option.
Yeah, I mean the burn deck is going to need to be playing the control role, so number of cards is going to matter a lot here. Theuns' opening hand has 2 Fire Drinker Satyrs in it.
He's also got a Mutavault and a Mountain, so he's got the mana to cast everything he needs.
I have no idea what that 2-drop is.
We see a Burning Tree Emissary.
That 2-drop, is that Goblin Kaboomist in his hand?
I'm not
That's
sure.
not a card that I've seen at top tables. Not one I expected either.
Well, he opens up with Fire Drinker.
I might be wrong about what card that is, but that's what it looks like to me.
I'm sure we'll see it hit the table soon enough.
Fire Drink is going to get in for some damage here.
I think it's also going to cost Theuns quite a lot of damage here.
That Fire Drink is probably going to do as much damage to Theuns as it does to Leon.
Mm.
The other one in his hand is a similar prospect.
We see 2 mountains.
Yeah, we're going to see a Burning Tree Emissary. What's he going to use the mana for here? He can use it to cast another Fire Drinker, or he can actually use it to pump the Fire Drinker. That damages him as well, though.
Okay, there we go. We see a second Fire Drinker on the field. I still can't make out that second card in his hand.
It looks kind of like a Goblin Kaboomist. That's a 2-mana 1/2, which during your upkeep you make an artifact token. It's a mind token, which has pay 1 red mana to sacrifice to deal 2 damage. When you make the token, though, I think you flip a coin, and if you lose the flip, it deals 2 damage to Goblin Kaboomist. Very strange
I'm guessing he's
card.
not going to survive that 2 damage.
Well, you flip a coin and you might not get the 2 damage. Very strange card to see. That's a Rabble Master. No, the card in his hand is a Rabble Master. It's the promo Rabble Master, in fact. That's what we were seeing. No Goblin Kaboomist. He's got a real card instead.
Okay, so he's got his Rabble Master out on the field, which is going to keep making...
That Rabble Master is not going to stay on this board. Yeah.
Nope, you're right. No tokens from the Rabble Master, no Rabble Master.
Now, Leon could have got 3 free damage to the face by casting that Lightning Strike on a Fire Drinker Satyr.
But
there's no way that he's going to leave Rabble Master alive.
Would represent a lot more damage than that.
Yeah, so he's gonna kill the Rabble Master rather than get the free damage in.
I think if there's anything we've seen from following these decks play today, it's that even 1 token on the field represents another burn spell.
Yeah. Now, Leon took 6 damage from that swing, though. He's already down to 12. And and Leon has yet to deal him any damage, so Leon is down to 12, Theuns is still on 20.
We do see the 2 Fire Drinkers on the board. If they take 2 burn spells, I think that's going to even up.
Those Fire Drinkers right now, they've gotten in for damage already. They are now as much a liability as they are an asset. Leon is sitting there with open mana. He must be eyeing them and eyeing his burn spells.
He can also activate his Mutavault and use it as a blocker.
That he can. But he's only got 3 lands down. I'm not sure he'd want to do that this early in the game. Theuns has a choice here, where he can also activate his Mutavault to attack in, or use his... Oh, he has Burning Tree Emissary. So he can make 2 mana. He can use the Convoke of just that Burning Tree Emissary and tapping the Mutavault to cast Stoke the Flames. He also has the option of using the mana from Burning Tree Emissary to animate his Mutavault and attack in for a very big swing.
You can see him deliberating on what to do.
Yeah, Theuns has that mana in his mana pool, and he's just thinking, what is the best way of using it? He has to be taking into account what cards Leon could be holding.
I'm pretty sure he senses that there's a burn spell in Leon's hand.
It's a safe bet that there are a number of burn spells in Leon's hand.
The question is, does he want it to go to a creature or to Mutavault? Looks like he's risking Mutavault.
Yeah, he's risking his Mutavault by animating it for this attack.
Everything goes sideways.
Yeah. Theuns is sending 8 damage Leon's way if there's no reply. And Leon is on 12.
Okay, there's going to be a reply.
He can't let this hit him.
There's going to be a reply.
There might even be more than one. I think that Leon has a shocking hand.
I think it's going to be the Mutavault.
Yeah, he's shocking the Mutavault to set back Theuns' mana.
And perhaps we're also going to see one of the Satire Fire Drinkers.
Yeah, I think a Satire Fire Drinker is going to deal some damage to Theuns here.
There you go, Lightning Strike.
Getting
3
Lightning
damage.
Strike. And that gets Leon off the mark, so to speak, and takes Theuns down to 17. However, Leon is all the way down to 7. He took 1 damage from tapping his Battlefield Forge and 4 damage from that attack. His life total is getting very precarious here.
Well, as we've said earlier today, if you're playing red, as long as you have life, you're in the game.
He has a War Leader's Helix in his hand as well. I think that he needs to cast that during his own turn, because he knows that...
To prevent the opponent from untapping and playing Skullcrack.
Yeah, if the card in Theuns' hand is a Skullcrack, he doesn't want the life gain from the War Leader's Helix to be negated. He's passed the turn to Theuns though, so he's going to play the KG game and keep waiting.
Go.
What is Theuns up to here? He seems to be debating his upcoming attack step. He's looking at 2 mutavolts across the board. I don't think that he wants his Fire Drinker Satyr to be gang blocked by 2 mutavolts.
That would pose 4 damage as well as the loss of his creature. The Burning Tree emissaries would then be able to get in though.
Yeah, and you know, with Leon currently on 7 life, 2 emissaries getting in puts him very low, dangerously low. 3 life puts him in range of a lot of the different burn spells that Theuns has access to. Theuns might well be thinking that his best bet here though is to just send Stoke the Flames Leon's way. He's still thinking though. This combat step could decide the outcome of this game. And of course, in this match, there's a ticket to France on the table. Winner of this match joins me on Team South Africa for the World Magic Cup to go to France in December and represent our country at one of the biggest Magic events of the year.
It's a very impressive accomplishment you've managed. Tell me, what deck did you play?
I played a Black Devotion deck with a red splash. Basically, the red splash gives me access to Rakdos's Return, which is a great tool against control. And Mizzium Mortars is the best removal spell to have against a field full of Blood Barons. I never played against Blood Baron or against Control, so I guess I was lucky to win anyway. Theuns here,
on
though,
the other hand,
he's still debating this attack step here.
we can really see the toll that an excess of 10 hours of Magic has had on these players. They're really taking their time. They really have to.
Yeah, they've already committed 10 hours of their lives or more to this tournament. It's worth spending 2 more minutes to think about your attack step before you throw it all away.
Leon, on the other hand, seems very calm about this.
Leon seems to have everything in hand. He seems quite composed.
He's got his answers. He knows where to point them.
He's just waiting to see what Theuns does before he does anything, though. He's in a position where he just has to wait and respond. He doesn't have to make a move right now.
Okay, we see Theuns making a move.
Yeah, Theuns is going for Burning Tree Emissary. So he has the 2 mana from that. Oh, he's convoking to play Stoke the Flames. This will put Leon all the way down to 3 life. Those 2 remaining Burning Tree Emissaries can attack this turn. So, in theory, Theuns is representing lethal damage. In practice, Leon has Mutavaults that can block, and he has a War Leader's Helix in hand.
Okay,
as well as a Lightning Strike in hand.
We see the Burning Trees go in.
Looks like Leon's going to animate a Mutavault to make a block. Now, he must have considered just casting a War Leader's Helix to gain the 4 life.
He's going to take
but he's
1
decided
life from
to
his
leave that for
Battlefield
later.
Forge.
Not necessarily. If he makes generic mana from that to animate his Mutavault, he's not taking a damage from it. Yeah.
He seems to be paying very close attention to that. I cannot explain why.
Yeah, looks like Leon is going to make 1 block on an emissary with his Mutavault, and he's going to lightning strike the other one. He's still on that precarious life total of 3,
it's sad
but
to
Theuns
see
is
that.
tapped out, and Leon's going to untap for his turn.
It's sad to see that Mutavault go, but hey, there are other lands in the deck.
At times when you get to trade your land for one of his spells,
There we
that
go.
puts you in a good position.
There's the other Battlefield Forge.
He has 4 mana for War Leader's Helix, so he can go up to 7 life here. Although, in order to cast it, he will
need to take
1 damage from a pain land. So, if he goes for that option, he'll be at 6 life, which is, I suppose, relatively safe. And he can deal that 4 damage to the Fire Drinker and get a free 4 damage in on Theuns. Looks like he's doing this during his own turn.
We see it happening.
Yeah, he's doing this during his own turn so that Theuns can't untap and potentially cast Skullcrack in response.
Does Theuns have any cards in hand? No, he doesn't.
Yeah, Theuns is out of cards. And all he has on the board is a 2/2. However, Leon's life total is dangerously low here.
Leon just took 2 and went down to 4.
That means that a Stoke the Flames from Theuns could potentially end this game if he has the mana to cast it. Leon has just passed the turn back with Burn in hand. Yeah, he's made his third land drop. With the Convoke for Stoke the Flames, it'll only cost 3 mana if he taps the Burning Tree Emissary. If that is what is in his hand, he's threatening lethal after this Burning Tree attack. Because I believe that Leon is at 6. No, Leon is at 4. Yeah, Leon's at 4 from that last Burning Tree Emissary attack. So,
but what are the odds? What are the odds that he has another War Leader's Helix in hand?
No, this would have to be Stoke the Flames from Theuns to win. And even if he has that, Leon can still respond with the War Leader's Helix.
You see him draw.
Yeah, Theuns is not willing to attack his Burning Tree Emissary into that Mutavault. Because even if he does top deck the card he needs, the Stoke the Flames that will win him this game.
Would need one creature convoked.
He doesn't have the 4th land to pay for it right now. So he needs that creature down.
And if he top decks the 4th land, even then, he may not actually have Stoke the Flames in hand.
Yeah, so Theuns is in a precarious position now where he needs Stoke the Flames or 2 consecutive burn spells to win this game. Leon's looking at a young Pyromancer in his hand. If he can start making an army of tokens, he can start threatening Theuns' life total quite rapidly.
It's also something to chump block with.
That's true, those tokens can just keep getting in the way of Theuns' attackers.
Without having to sacrifice a Mutavault, I'd say that's a very big advantage.
And remember that Theuns' deck is mostly creature based. He has far less burn in his library, so he's got far less chance of drawing that lethal burn spell than he has of drawing another creature, which unfortunately will probably just be burnt at the hands of Leon's burn spells. It's interesting that Leon chose not to cast a young Pyromancer in his turn there.
Well, he is representing 4 mana.
Yeah,
that could be the biggest bluff we've seen all day.
Yeah. The young Pyromancer, though, would have left him with 2 mana open for a burn spell, which would have made a token. Looks as though Leon is just representing a War Leader's Helix with the mana that he's left open here.
Perhaps he'd like to see the Mutavault trade.
Maybe he wants to trade his Mutavault, that's true.
No, he does have a response.
Looks like he's reaching... Yeah, he's going to lightning strike that Burning Tree Emissary.
No Convoke for you.
Yeah, that Fire Drinker could very easily be a liability for Theuns. A card like Searing Blood now would make a big impact in this game.
I think playing him playing his creatures Theuns is playing his creatures one at a time. He's slow rolling the battlefield. He's testing the waters.
I think that he's playing every threat he has as soon as he draws it.
In that case, that face down card must be something not so threatening.
Yeah. It could very easily be a land that he's just sandbagging. Or a Skullcrack that he's planning to cast in response to a War Leader's Helix.
Well, we see the young Pyromancer come down from Leon.
Yeah, and he still has I believe he still has a Skullcrack in hand. He can make tokens off that. Looked like that card that Theuns drew was a mountain.
Okay,
looks like Theuns is holding... Yeah, he's got 2 mountains.
We have 2 mountains?
2 mountains in Theuns' hand. He's not in a strong position.
He is definitely sandbagging 2 mountains.
Yeah, and he needs to rip Stoke the Flames from the top of his deck.
Doesn't look like it's going to come this game.
Yeah, Leon now has this board under control, and he's able to start exerting pressure. This is the first time in the game that we've really been interested in what Theuns' life total is. I think that he's sitting at 13.
I believe he's taken damage from 2 Fire Drinker Satyrs previously.
Yeah, 1 Fire Drinker Satyr got Lightning Striked, 1 Fire Drinker got War Leader's Helixed. So that's 7 damage. So Theuns is on 13. Leon, meanwhile, is still on 4, but starting to look quite secure. Fire Drinker Satyr's coming in.
Waiting to see what he does with it in the red zone. Does he block? Does he burn it?
Does he block it with a Mutavault? Does he block it with young Pyromancer? He has a lot of options here. I don't think he has a burn spell that he can direct at a creature in hand, but he could cast Skullcrack and use the token that creates to block the Fire Drinker.
Ultimately, though, the Pyromancer versus Mutavault block is: do you want him to take 1 damage or 2?
Both of them deal 2 damage. Young Pyromancer is a 2-1.
Is it 2-1?
Yeah. Do you want to lose a young Pyromancer, or do you want to lose a land?
Huh.
Seems like Leon wants to hold on to his 5 land here.
Well, the Mutavault is a very constant way of applying pressure.
Yeah. There was also the option of gang blocking that Fire Drinker to push through more damage. But Theuns is able to pump the Fire Drinker with his 4 open mana, so that would have risked losing 2 cards to it.
Hang on a second. Let's pretend for a second that Leon did have something like a spell in his hand.
He had a
could have
Skullcrack.
played.
He could have made a token, and that could have blocked the Fire Drinker. He's decided to hold on to it, though.
If he had had a 1-mana spell, though... I'm trying to think of a way that he could have blocked with the token, the Pyromancer, and the Mutavault.
He only had 2 mana open, so that's not possible. He'd have needed a free spell to do that.
If only he had another land. That would have been game.
Yeah. He has a... Well, now he's got the 5 mana open. Well, he's cast a... Looks like a
cast
foil Young Pyromancer.
Another Pyromancer, yeah.
I think we saw him play a Japanese one earlier, so he's got a wide variety of Young Pyromancers in his deck.
And you know what they say, if it's Japanese, plus 50%. If it's foil, well, plus a kidney, maybe.
If you ask certain players, that Young Pyromancer makes 2 tokens for every spell you cast.
Theuns, on the other hand, would be pressured if it just made 1.
I think Theuns would be happy to see anything but a mountain right now, but I don't think he's got anything in hand that's going to do anything for him.
We see a Skullcrack.
I think, yeah, at this point, Leon is just going for Theuns' life total.
And there
That
we see the
Skullcrack
token.
takes him down to 8, and now Leon actually has a team to attack with. He has a Young Pyromancer, he has an Elemental token, he has a Mutavault. He can get in for 5 damage here. This attack, if Theuns has no response, this will leave him on 3 life.
We know he's sandbagging 2 mountains, so he has nothing in hand.
Yeah, Theuns only has land in hand.
He goes down to 3.
This is his last chance to draw Stoke the Flames to win the game.
You can see him doing his lucky draw me a
Theuns
river.
is praying that this is a Stoke the Flames.
Is it a Stoke the Flames? Turn over the card. Suspense, suspense.
Just flip it.
Make it all actionful.
Oh, it looks like he's just going to draw it and make everyone else wait a little bit.
Ooh!
It's a Legion Loyalist. That has haste, so he can attack in with it if he wants.
Unfortunately, it is not going to be enough.
Yeah, if one of those mountains in his hand were to turn into a lightning strike, he'd have enough.
I think all he does here is play the Loyalist, keep
Leave it to
mana
block.
open,
Yeah, I think he needs
present
to...
a bluff.
Yeah, because now if he has a burn spell, he can prevent Leon from attacking for lethal.
Okay, we know it's not Stoke the Flames.
Yeah, we know that he has nothing in hand. Leon does not have that information. I imagine he'd be sweating way less if he did. Leon's debating.
If there was a Stoke the Flames, that would have been a perfect time to play it with only 3 mana open on Leon's side of the table. So...
yeah, he's had opportunities to cast Stoke the Flames. Leon doesn't have any real responses to a Stoke the Flames.
this is where you think, okay, my opponent is probably bluffing.
Yeah, unless Theuns had been sandbagging the Legion Loyalist and what he drew for the turn was Stoke the Flames, there's not too much that Leon has to worry about here.
I think I know what happens here. Animate Mutavault, swing in, mana
Yeah.
for a burn spell.
Theuns can only block one of these creatures, so he's
Okay,
still facing
we see
lethal
the
damage
Mutavault.
after the block.
And there we go.
Theuns reveals his grip of scary, scary mountains, and looks like we're going to game 2. This means that potentially Leon is just one game away from a ticket to France.
I bet they can feel the